Forget about the Dell Latitude. Forget about the Dell XPS or Inspiron. Dell is completely rebranding its desktops and its laptops in a more simplified way. And what they're going with is Dell Pro, and Dell Pro Max. These are the categories that are going to carry this company forward into 2025 and years beyond. Now, when I say those names, it may sound a little familiar. It may sound a little bit like Apple. It really does seem like Dell is copying or following in the naming scheme that Apple has been doing for a while. So when I heard this news that Dell was going to be doing this big rebranding, I was at a press conference with some Dell executives. Michael Dell was there, the guy who founded the company, and I asked him, what does Dell have to gain by following Apple here? Michael Dell and the other executives said that these were basically industry terms, right? Apple didn't invent the idea of a Pro name for their computers, sure, totally get that. But to use Pro and Max, to use a Pro Max, I did have to shout back out, I have an iPhone 15 Pro Max in my pocket. What are you talking about? As I walked around this press event and I talked to Dell people, it just seemed like everyone is a little shocked about it and maybe not everyone is fully on board with it. The main reasoning is that Michael Dell and all the other executives are saying it is simpler to kind of go with this naming scheme versus what Dell had before. I don't think anybody will cry about losing the Latitude brand or the Precision brand or Inspiron or anything. I think a lot of consumers just don't even know what those different, names mean. Not that they have to. Not everybody is in the audience for all of those machines at the same time. So I totally understand that reasoning. I think it's a very dumb move to give up on the XPS brand in general. Drop all the other brands, sure. Dell kind of owns XPS. When we talk about what is the best Windows PC to buy for the past decade plus, we have said just get the XPS 13 or 15 or 16 or whatever is out right now. I guess Dell is just ignoring that. And I believe that reasoning that Dell is trying to be simpler, except like so many PC companies, they just had to go and make it even more complicated. So within the Dell Pro, and Dell Pro Max lines, there are also sub-brands or sub-branding that they're going to use to call these computers. There are going to be base level models, there's going to be plus models, and premium models. So you could conceivably be looking at something like the Dell Pro Plus versus the Dell Pro Premium. And maybe you were also looking at high-end workstations. It would be the Dell Pro Max Plus or Premium. You kind of see where this all really falls apart. I'm just not a huge fan of where this is going. I think talking to Dell people, a lot of them seemed a little confused by the naming too and maybe a little mystified. We'll see if Dell kind of sticks with this moving forward. So the question now is, what is happening to all of Dell's brands? They all kind of neatly fit into these different categories. The basic Dell brand is going to cover all their consumer laptops. So that's Inspiron, that's going to be XPS, either in the Plus or Premium. It seems like they're kind of unsure where all this is kind of landing, but you can kind of expect the classifications to be similar to what Dell has had in the past. The Latitude line is going to fall under the Dell Pro branding. A couple of Dell people told me this is the commercial PC that they've dreamed of building. Okay, I can kind of see a lot of work went into this, except you look at these things and they look exactly like MacBooks, even down to the little notch you use to open up the display, the design of it, the unibody design, the layout of the keyboard and touchpad and everything. It's very much more Mac-like than it was before. That does make me think the whole thing about Dell saying that they're trying to avoid Apple or not deliberately copying Apple is a little suspect. The Dell Precision line, these are the high-end workstations that's going to be under Dell Pro Max. All these computers are going to be running Intel's latest chips. We're going to see AMD processors in the Pro and Pro Max line, so that's going to be a bit of a change for them. Basically everything that we've been covering from Dell, they're just going to have slightly different names now. I will say, if you want to see how silly this naming is going to get, the Dell Pro Max line is kind of hilarious, especially when it comes to desktops, because they have a tiny, small desktop called the Dell Pro Max Micro, a slightly thinner one, the Dell Pro Max Slim. And even within those, they're going to be base plus premium. You see where this is a problem, Dell, do you? Dell is going to kick off the year with the Pro 13 and 14 premium laptops. Those are going to be available on January 6th, and also the plain Dell Plus. That includes the Dell 14 Plus, 14 Plus 2-in-1, 16 and 16 Plus 2-in-1. Those are going to be available on February 18th. And the other stuff, the Dell Premium line, which is going to be more XPS, I believe, other Pro lines, and the Dell Pro Max, those are all coming later in the year. So big changes for Dell here at CES. We're not sure if it's all going to work out for them, and there probably will be some changes later in the year. But stay tuned to Engadget for more details and our hands-ons on all these systems.